Hey, I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and you're watching Halloween Year Round.
Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round. I'm joined by my lovely fiance, Jess, and welcome to our weekly Dead Talk. This week's topic is, of course, the new Stephen King adaptation, Firestarter, not to be confused with the 1984 version, and not to be confused with Disney's Frozen, which has nothing to do with Firestarter, except for everything, and we'll get to it.
Pretty much.
So right off the bat, what did you think of it?
I liked it.
I did not.
Wait, what?
Exactly. So before we get into our contentious debate over whether or not the new Firestarter is good, I first want to go to my alter ego, David S. Not Pumpkins, with horror in the news. Hi, I'm David S. Not Pumpkins, in a sketch that's not at all derivative of anything else in any way, shape, or form. And this is horror in the news. So here are this week's top stories. We begin with some sad news, the passing of both Fred Ward of the Tremors series. He appeared in Tremors 1 and 2, as well as Kenneth Walsh, who appeared on Twin Peaks. Though they may be gone, we horror fans can remember their contributions by just simply never stop watching. So they will be missed. Fright Rags has started a fundraising campaign for trauma actor and stuntman Big Dave Matty as he fights the incredibly rare disease called amyloidosis. All proceeds of the t-shirt sales featuring the Toxic Avenger will be donated directly to Big Dave himself to help him through this struggle. So we wish him the best. Cavity Colors has recently announced that they will be releasing a brand of Phantasm licensed apparel. For those who are familiar with the channel, Phantasm is probably one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I couldn't be more excited. So this line comes out May 24th, and we will see what they do, and maybe, just maybe, we'll do an unboxing. We'll see. We'll see. In Scream news, fan favorite Kirby, as played by Hayden Panettiere, will be back in the 6th installment. Her fate was kind of ambiguous at the end of Scream 4, but it has been confirmed that she will be returning to play the character Kirby. She was sort of the new Randy, so to speak, in that movie. And her, along with all of the younger cast who survived, Jenna Ortega, the other one whose names I unfortunately don't recall at the moment, will be returning as well. Still no official word on Neve Campbell, but we will see. 20th Century Studios has announced a prequel to The Omen called The First Omen. In semi-related news, why? It's a great movie. Do we need it? We'll see. Every horror movie deserves a chance. It will get its equal chance. We will review it on here, but we can still ask why. Lost Boys and Bill and Ted star Alex Winter is returning to horror with a film called Destroy All Neighbors, set to premiere on Shudder later this year. A new Lovecraft-inspired horror video game, Lovecraft's Untold Stories 2, is arriving to Steam this week on May 17th. And finally, there is a new Indiegogo campaign for an action fantasy horror movie called Devil's Night, starring Kevin Sorbo of the Hercules TV show of the 90s. There will be a link to the Indiegogo campaign in the description if it's something you're interested in participating in. That's it for horror news this week. Back to you, other host who looks nothing like me. Thank you, David S. Not Pumpkins. You totally don't look exactly like me. So, I mean, yeah, we got to get this out the way, and this is going to make for more interesting video. So you liked it, I didn't, and...
Wait, why didn't you like it? What the heck? Why didn't you tell me you didn't like it?
She feels so betrayed.
I thought we were on the same page.
So let's start very, very brief. Opens where, they have Charlie as a baby. Something you and I can relate to.
Yeah.
Does every single baby in every movie have the same blanket that we had at the hospital? Is that just like the white one with the multicolored polka dots on it?
There's a couple different versions.
Because like
But,
I'm like, no, that's the same one that we had.
Like we had the one with the elephant, but then there's also ones with footprints that I've seen, and then there's the one that's just white with like a blue stripe.
Because the one in the movie, I think, was they were dots.
Oh, they were polka dots.
I think. I don't know. It's one of my many issues with this movie right off the bat. For a movie called Firestarter, a movie that's supposed to be about fire, something that burns bright, I can't see a damn thing.
Okay, that's an accurate
statement.
It is
like, it's just, and I get it, like, I'm a horror fan, I get that there are some things that you shoot to be very dark for, like, aesthetic purposes. But even so, we watched it together on Peacock. I saw it in the theaters, the night that it premiered. Even in the theater, complete darkness, I'm like, why is it so hard to see what's going on? Like, it
was dark.
Like, every shot is just very dim.
Yeah.
So
I will agree with you on that one. Okay.
So, they discover that Charlie, as a baby, has these powers of fire. Then fast forward to where she's 11. They've been on the run. They've been hiding. They don't have Wi-Fi. Can't live without Wi-Fi. The poor kid gets bullied for it. The other kids call her Amish. That one little kid, that one little redhead kid deserved it. The one that was messing with her.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, burn that mother. Burn him. I want to be very clear that normally I'm not in favor of saying, like, burn that child. But when he's bullying another child with fire powers, it's just the natural inclination.
Yeah.
So I think, to be fair to this movie, part of the reason I didn't like it as much is I am comparing it to the original. There's no way for me not to do that.
Okay.
And I think that it did some things really, really well, and it did some things not so well. So let's talk about what it did well.
Okay.
I like Zac Efron in it.
Yeah.
I think that he gets not a bad rip, but he was tethered to the whole High School Musical Disney thing. And I knew he was a good actor in 2009 when he made 17 Again.
Yes.
Which is actually a way better... We're going to talk about 17 Again on this horror channel. It's a really good movie. And Efron in there, he's supposed to be playing a younger version of Matthew Perry. And there are moments that he, really... you feel like it's Perry talking.
Yeah, he, really channels him.
And I knew back then, I'm like, okay, you know what? This guy is more than just, the cheesy High School Musical. He's actually really good. When he's got the right material, I think he can be good. And then we saw the same thing with him in, what was that? In Incredibly Wicked, Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Vile, the Ted Bundy movie on that came out on Netflix. I forget the exact title. It's like Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Vile.
Yeah.
Something.
Something.
Kind of a long title.
Basically the Ted Bundy movie.
He plays a chillingly suave Ted Bundy. And I know that, that role, that movie was criticized for kind of glorifying him. I think that it was scary in that it portrayed, this is how charming he was, but look what a monster he was.
Yeah.
And Efron, if you would ask me in 2006, you see this kid in High School Musical, you think he could play Ted Bundy? I'd be like, no, and why am I watching High School Musical? Yes, I've seen all three. No, it wasn't my choice. It was against my will.
Against your will?
I didn't want to watch them.
Oh yeah, you were in high school when those came out.
I was in high school when the first one came out.
Yeah.
I'm older than you.
Yeah, you are.
So, I used to work in a video store, and we always had to play whatever was popular.
Oh, that's why.
So when the third one came out, I worked there, and we were playing the first two a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why, and then when the third one came out on DVD, we were playing that one around the clock. So yeah, any movie that came out on DVD between like 2007 and 2013, odds are I watched it many, many times in the video store.
Wow.
But anyways, I digress.
Anyway.
So Zac Efron he's a solid actor, and he definitely...
There was that one, I forget the line that he said. There was that one line that I was like, yo, that was...
Oh, when the guy who takes them in... bless you. Bless you.
Thank you.
The guy who takes them in, he's watching the news and sees that, you know, Andy McGee is wanted by police. And then he's like, dude, it's not true. And then the guy says, what, you mean I can't trust the TV?
Oh, yeah.
And Efron's like, shocker!
Yo, I was like, that reminded me of High School Musical.
Like, it was such...
Just the way he said it.
It was such a Troy thing to say. But yeah, I really liked the content. And I liked the kind of... And it's something you didn't really... Because in the first one, the mother's not in it a whole lot. I think she gets to do more in this one. And I like the sort of... the debate between the two of them.
Yeah.
And where you understand... Both of them are coming from very valid places. And you understand why, you know, the dad wants Charlie to just suppress her power, conceal, don't feel. Basically, Charlie wants to raise her like they raised Elsa in Frozen. There's your connection. The mom thinks that she should be trained in it.
I agree with the mom.
She should learn to, you know, but...
Because suppressing it ain't gonna do good. One day she's gonna get real pissed, and then it's just gonna all
It's gonna explode, and then...
But if you train her, she can, like, channel it.
But what I'm saying... So I agree with that, too. I am on team train her. But even though I disagree with the dad, with Andy, Zac Efron's character, I understand why he felt that way.
I mean...
That he was scared,
yeah.
and he saw that his own power, the toll it took on him.
Yeah.
Like, every time he used it...
Like, his eyes
would be... Because literally, it was like a strain on his brain. And, like, it was going to get to the point that, you know, doing it was going to give him, like, an aneurysm and kill him.
Yeah.
So I understand why he thought, oh, you know what? Not just for the protection of people not getting burned by her, but he was worried about her own health, that if she were to use her power too much, it would nearly kill her the way his power nearly killed him.
Yeah.
So I liked that whole debate. I liked that in this version, Charlie's a little bit older than she was in the book and in the 1984 movie. She's 11.
Yeah.
And she's much more of
11?
We'll get to that connection, too. She's a much more active protagonist.
Yeah.
In this one, you know, she's the one who makes the choices. And you can see that she's really kind of being pulled in two directions.
She is.
You know, this is very much this is like Stephen King's, you know, Dark Phoenix story. And, you know, it's definitely an origin story, and I did like how the movie makes it so up until the very end, which, spoiler alert, I think she's going to be a villain. But up until the end, you're not sure which direction she's going to go in. Right. You're not sure, is this a hero origin story, or is this a villain origin story? Is she going to be Jean Grey, the, you know, helpful, benevolent member of the X-Men team? Or is she going to be the uncontrollable, destructive Phoenix? You know, is she going to be Wanda, the, you know, kind and loving, you know, person and wife of Vision and mother of the two kids? Or is she going to be the Doctor Strange 2's Scarlet Witch and just murder everyone? And like I said, spoilers already. She kills a lot of people.
She does.
Oh my god.
She does.
Like, just straight up burns them. You know what's funny, though? I guarantee you, people who watch this movie are going to be more upset about the cat that she kills.
Oh. Yeah,
which was a really messed up scene.
And then, like, 10 minutes later, they're like, oh, you can play with the chickens.
Yeah,
it's
so
like,
she...
So it's like,
she,
hey, what do you want her to cook dinner?
She barbecues the cat. And then they go to a farm, and she's like, Daddy, can I play with the chickens? I'd be like, you know what, Charlie? Maybe you should stay away from animals.
Right now.
For a little bit. I also love how, I don't love how she killed the cat. I mean, that was a disturbing scene, and it was... Like, they show a lot, and it's grotesque, and it's meant to be. It's meant to horrify you. Like, oh, look at the cost of her powers and what it can do. But I love how the cat gets more of a funeral and more of a send off than her mom.
Yeah, like there was like no funeral scene or anything for her mom.
So like.
Not even, like, a brief, like, seeing everybody dressed in black or anything like that.
Exactly. So, like, what was his name? Rainbird, the assassin for DSI, shows up, kills her mom, and it's just, oh, we gotta go, burn the house down with her mom in it, so I guess, automatic cremation. But, like, the fact that they take the time to make a little grave and bury the cat.
And then put, like, a little rock on top that says cat.
And it's like, that's more than you did for your mom. That just struck me as kind of hilarious in a really dark, twisted way. Like, I thought of, that meme of the little girl trying to swim and the mom's holding her. And the little boy's over here, like, struggling to stay afloat. And it's like, that's the cat, and that's the mom.
I don't know what meme you're talking about. But okay.
I'll show you. So, I liked that aspect of it. Now,
But when she burns it, it doesn't die completely right away.
No, and that's kind of even worse.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of goes out of its way to be like, look how brutal this is, and... Like, even the agent that she burns in the car when she's trying to break into the DSI lab to save her dad.
Yeah.
The movie goes out of its way to be like, let's have the audience listen to a conversation he has with his pregnant wife. Just so you know he's got a family.
Yeah.
Just so you know, oh, some baby's going to grow up without their dad. You know that going in. And then, of course, she turns him into Two-Face.
Yeah, pretty much.
So...
No, but every time the dad's like, you have to take this person or the cat or whatever out of their misery. So you gotta, like, burn them more.
Do you feel that ending is earned?
What, that she's like a villain?
Yeah, that it fully self-actualizes.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it is. Which is what I'm going to get to next. So,
no, it is. Definitely.
Okay. You can think that. I disagree. And that's the point of this show.
No.
Yes.
You're not going to disagree with it.
We are allowed to disagree on movies on this show.
Okay.
That's the point of the Dead Talk. It actually makes it more interesting when we disagree.
Fine. Disagree. And I will argue with you. My point.
So... I like Zac Efron. I like the Charlers more the main character.
So far, I don't hear you say anything negative.
So here's what I didn't like.
So, here we go.
Number one, like I said. Oh, and real quick, I love the music. They got John Carpenter and his son Cody to do the music, and the other guy whose name I forget. The same team who did the music for Halloween Kills.
Okay.
Did the music for this. And it shows. It kind of has that 80s synth to it.
Okay.
Which I like. But I don't like how it was shot. Like I said, it was
it was dark.
It was very dimly shot. I think they needed to get some better lighting.
But I don't think that's a reason to, like, completely not like a movie just because it was dark.
That's not the only thing. So, I felt like... I don't like it when a movie kind of... Like, when it builds up to stuff that doesn't matter. So, you have this whole kind of backstory and mythos built around Dr. Wanless. the guy behind the experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And you waste a performance by Kurtwood Smith because he's only in one scene. Whereas and again, yeah, I'm going to compare it. In the original, in the novel, he plays a much, it's a larger role. And I felt like the whole DSI background and storyline is just very rushed over.
Okay.
And it's all represented by one character, played by Gloria Rubin, who I like her as an actor, but I just felt like there's like this whole backstory to it, and it felt very rushed. It felt like the movie wanted to get from, the incident happens, they have to go on the run to climax at the facility where she burns everything down, and I felt like it was a bit rushed to get there. I felt like the movie, pacing-wise, it took its time in the beginning just so it could kind of rush everything to the end. Because it jumps right from, they're at that farmhouse hiding out to, like, maybe 10 minutes later, oh, she's just going to be genocidal now. She's just going to kill everyone now.
Okay.
And I think it is to be said.
Isn't that the same type of thing that happens in, like, Rosemary's Baby? Where, like, the last 10 minutes is the only 10 minutes of the movie?
No, but that is a debatable point. But
That's like the
last 10 minutes is when all the payoff happens, but it spent its first hour and 50 minutes building up to it. What I'm saying is the build-up wasn't necessarily there, that more needed to be happening. I think it shows that the original Firestarter is almost 2 hours long. This one was an hour and a half.
Okay.
And I think that because of that, certain parts felt kind of rushed.
Yeah.
And the parts that took their time weren't necessarily it was cool to see.
Like, they didn't even really show them in the hospital. Like, when they were doing the experiment on them.
That's what I mean. And it's just kind of like, oh, this thing happened, and, this other guy was in it. And now they have a baby, and there's a whole storyline there about how they were in an experiment, Charlie was born, they had Charlie in their custody.
Yeah.
And her dad, killed those agents and broke her out. That's a cool subplot.
Yeah. That should have been like a whole like scene.
That should have been a whole sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Or again, Dr. Wanless should have been a bigger part rather than just like a one scene cameo. Or even how again, not to compare it to because I know technically this is not a remake. This is just a new adaptation. I know that's a very contentious point on the internet. It's technically not a remake. It's just
this is not supposed to be a comparison video.
It's not, but this movie doesn't exist in a vacuum, and it's not that I'm hating on it because I'm like, oh, it has to be better than the original. It's that I have the original adaptation here, so when I see this one has faults, it's like, well, this one did that better.
Okay.
So it's sort of an incidental comparison, where the first one, the original, they're on the run right from the beginning. It jumps right into the tension of and the the suspense building of them being on the run and having to hide, and then through flashback it shows
like a little
bit of what happened.
Yeah.
It shows what happened to her mom. It should, this one, I think there's nothing wrong with the first act until the third act rushes it. So knowing what I know now going into this movie, if knowing that the third act is going to kind of rush everything, the first act needs to get to where it needs to get Charlie and her dad on the run faster. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So that was my issue, was just kind of the way it was paced and put together.
Okay.
I like the deeper philosophical questions that I think the first one didn't, they touched upon, but here it really doubles down on them. I also think, speaking of, you mentioned 11 a little bit ago, I feel like the art, so art imitated art, and then the other art imitated the art again. So when the trailer first came out, some guy on Twitter was like, yo, this movie looks a lot like Stranger Things. And it's like, well, yeah, because Stranger Things clearly was inspired by Firestarter about, the little girl with the experiments in the government and all that. But there were scenes in this movie that felt like they were then kind of going back and like that scene of the boys on the bicycles in the suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
It felt like straight out of Stranger Things.
Literally.
And it felt kind of random and like, why is this scene even here if not to kind of remind us that Stranger Things exists?
Right.
Even the DSI lab looked exactly like Hawkins' lab in Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like the building itself, to the point that I genuinely thought for a second, like, is that the same exterior or something? Like, maybe it's the same office park in California or Georgia or something.
Maybe it was. You got a problem with that?
No. So, yeah, I didn't dislike the movie. It's just, for me, it was a mixed bag.
Okay. That's fair.
Thank you for saying it's fair. I'm glad I have your approval.
That's valid.
So before we get to final thoughts, I do want to go to the Movie Keeper with Movies from the Crypt.
Well, hello, all you horror hounds and media monsters out there. It is I, Patrick, the Movie Keeper, here to give you some tasty physical media as we dig it up on this segment of Movies from the Crypt. Oh, it's so good to see you all back here. And to honor the lovely blood moon, I have my copy of Full Moon High right here for display and showcase. I have to say, there is a very nice, very funny parody film, and I think a certain individual will have a article linked to that actually. 5 reasons you should definitely check it out. So hopefully you'll consider that on Halloween Year Round's blog page. But now for the main event. First up, we have The Craft from 1996 from Scream Factory. Officially releasing on 4K Blu-ray on May 17th, coming up for this Tuesday. So definitely check that one out. Always fun to see a witch's brew and high school as a hijinks. We also have the legendary 1941 classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from Warner Archive, releasing on May 17th as well. Based on the classic Robert Louis Stevenson as a novel, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, one to definitely check out for all you classic horror fans out there, myself included. We also have Slasher Flesh and Blood as a 2021 series from Shudder, also releasing on May 17th this coming week. So definitely one to check out. And yes, Friday the 13th from 1980, a staple of the slasher genre, released from Paramount Movies. Coming on 4K, which will include both the original and uncut, for September the 13th. So they missed the date this month, but luckily though, it's coming out in September, so that should definitely give you a good scare. Ooh. I know my good friend Dave definitely loves this one, and definitely a favorite here at Halloween Year Round. Fire in the Sky from 1993 from Scream Factory. We just have the official list of special bonus features for the disc. This will include a brand new 4K scan of the original camera negative. That is awesome. Always nice to see that. where is it? There will also be a new interview from director Robert Lieberman. Very awesome. And we also have interviews from actors D.B. Sweeney and Robert Patrick, along with an interview with composer Mark Isham. Isham? So definitely one to check out. Coming up on June 21st, the classic 1993 film Fire in the Sky, and we are very happy to give you those details right here from Movies on the Craft. Let's see what we got here. Ooh, from Scorpion DVD, a 1989 film, High Desert Kill, coming out on August 2nd of this year. Oh, very interesting. Yes. Also one involving aliens and the supernatural for this one, and definitely one to definitely check out for all you 80s fans out there. And I also see that the 2022 film Firestarter, a remake to the original from Universal Pictures, is coming out on June 28th of this year. This definitely coincides with the 45 day period that's been day window that's been going on recently for various movie distributors. So very interesting. So in a few months, you'll definitely have that to enjoy physically, unless you just want to stream it. But as you can see here with my movie collection, can't beat a good old physical disc. We also have, from 1997, Event Horizon being released from Paramount Pictures on August the 9th of 2022. This is a 4K release steelbook. Ooh, very nice. Very cool. Awesome sci-fi horror, especially those who love the Alien series. Definitely one to check out. Or for those who just want to be able to beam it up to their ships in 4K, this will definitely be your chance. So awesome stuff there. And lastly, oh wow, oh, this is cool. Thank you, Mr. Bone Jangles. Thank you for giving me this information. You definitely made it up for last week's blunder with that crazy sci-fi Egyptian film. This is special. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from 1986 will be getting its first 4K Blu-ray release from the good people at Vinegar Syndrome. Very exciting for this one. Definitely one that has been in and out of print for a while. I know like the Blu-ray from Scream Factory has been MIA for a while but this is just very exciting. I know it's also streaming on Shudder as well. If you want to definitely check out the 1080p release, always nice. But if you want to own the 4K, the Blu-ray release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, it's coming. We don't have an official date yet or a list of the bonus features, but it is coming later this year. So we will definitely keep an eye out for that one. Thank you, Bone Jangles, and definitely keep on this story. Alrighty then, you lovely horror hounds and media monsters out there. It is I, Patrick, the Movie Keeper, signing you off, wishing you a wonderful blood moon out there, and many good howls to you.
Thank you, Movie Keeper. All of those look really cool, and it's cool to see that this movie itself is on the lineup coming out in June. So final thoughts. It's not a bad movie. I don't think it deserves. I mean, it has it's got like 13%.
Yeah,
on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't think it deserves a score quite that low.
Yeah, come on.
I just think for me, it was okay. Obviously, I think the 84 version is a better everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate certain aspects of this, and it goes without saying, even if I don't like something that a new adaptation does. Again, I'm intentionally not calling it a remake, but society's going to kind of take it as a remake because the previous adaptation already exists.
Right.
So when in the rules of remakes, or in the rules of doing a new adaptation when an old adaptation already exists that's already popular, you have to try something new. And to its credit, this movie does. It changes things up. It kind of changes the story a little bit. And it changes the focus to be on Charlie. And kind of she's the one who goes through the arc and decides at the end what she's going to do. So I liked that it tried those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just with some better lighting and maybe the script being reworked a little bit, this movie could have been really good.
What score do you give it?
I hesitate to give movies objective scores because then I feel like I'm tied to that process. So I will just say that it was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
Same.
And, wasn't, again, not to compare it to
I liked it more than you did, though.
You did. Not to compare it to the 1984 version again, but
here we go.
In that version, all the fire effects were practical. In this, it was a lot of CGI. And it wasn't always the best CGI.
Okay.
That is all I'll say. Which I understand, before everyone's in the comments, I understand that using CGI effects for fire is definitely safer.
Yeah.
For everyone involved.
Like, do you actually want to burn the mom? Or the cat?
I'm just saying that there's a magic to practical effects. Obviously, practical effects need to be done safely.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anyone getting, injured or killed, for making a movie.
Right.
But if you're going to do CGI effects, it is more noticeable if they are bad.
Yeah.
And I think that not all of them were best. So, what do you think of the new Firestarter? Check it out on Peacock. Actually, both versions, the 1984 and the new one, are on Peacock right now, so...
You can do a compare and contrast video.
You can do it, yeah. You can have yourself a double feature, watch one after the other. Let us know your thoughts. Which one did you like better? What did you like or not like about the new one? Do you think that this movie is basically just Stephen King's version of Frozen, like I did?
It kind of is.
It kind of is.
In some ways.
It totally... And the other thing is, both Charlie and Elsa would both really benefit from having Charles Xavier in their life.
Yes.
Like, going to his school, they would both thrive.
Yes. Accurate.
Very. So, let us know in the comments what you thought. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up just like the cat in this movie. And, stay scared. And, as always, thank you for coming to our Dead Talk.
Yes.
And every day
is Halloween.